December 21st, 1995 was pretty much like every day was back then. I woke up, dragged myself out of bed after not much sleep, made myself the absolute minimum of presentable, walked into my backyard, and went through the gate to my neighbor's house 2 doors down to go to work. My neighbors were a lovely couple named Mary and Mary Jo. They had a dog named Freedom and a band called Destiny, and they owned and operated a balloon store. I sat in the storefront selling balloons to folks that came in. I began each day by creating a balloon rainbow that arched between 2 parking meters in front of the store. Once that was done, I began to eagerly await the day's customers. Not because I liked selling balloons, because I needed to steal the money to buy drugs. I was 12 the first time I got drunk. I still remember it vividly. My best friend's mom was having a party, and Stephanie and I managed to get our hands on a big glass of wild turkey. After drinking it, we were both giddy and drunk and eager to join in with the grown-ups doing country western dancing on the salt-covered dining room floor. I remember learning to two-step with a man beyond old enough to be my father, who held me entirely too closely considering my age. I didn't care. I felt pretty and smart. I chased that feeling for the next 15 years. By 13, I was drinking every day. When I moved to Philadelphia at age 18, I started drinking in bars and calling myself a writer, which meant drinking was not a pastime, but a requirement and a defining characteristic, particularly among the like-minded writers that were my friends. By the spring of 1995, drugs were becoming commonplace in my group. At first, we were just sharing cocaine regularly, and not long after that, heroin. We all just snorted it at first, but I had access to clean needles, and it didn't really take long before those two things came together, and by the summer of 1995, I was shooting cocaine and heroin every day. That October, one friend realized just how far down the rabbit hole she'd fallen and went to rehab. This inspired me to quit heroin, which I did, cold turkey, at home. Side note, if you decide to quit heroin on your own, don't invite your mother to come stay with you while you're doing it, because it will take years for her to forgive you for demanding somewhere at the end of day 2 that you drive to North Philly and cop you some dope already. But I didn't get clean after quitting heroin. Far from it, I switched to just shooting cocaine, which was so much better. It was also more expensive, far more addicting, and far more demanding. You can imagine then, on the morning of December 21st, 1995, my utter joy when someone bought a huge and expensive bouquet of balloons while my bosses were out. I immediately paged my dealer, who showed up soon after with the big bag of coke. At home, I could hardly wait to get started. Halfway through the evening, though, the house grew cold because we had run out of heating oil. Well familiar with this problem, we turned on the oven, put pots of water on the stove to boil, and started running the shower. Later, I was setting up a hit when I jerked, sending a huge clump of coke into my spoon, and for a moment I thought, uh-oh. But then I went ahead and shot it up anyway. The next part I don't remember, but my husband has told me about it, about how I fell down and began having a massive seizure, how it didn't stop for over 10 minutes, how he called 911 and how I stopped breathing unless someone pushed on my chest, how he paced in front of our house waiting for the ambulance. What I do remember is waking up. I was flat on my back and half naked because my robe came open and I was circled by my husband, 3 police officers, my neighbors, and 2 paramedics. I remember them helping me stand up. I remember them telling me to get into the ambulance. I remember putting on my boots so my feet wouldn't be bare on the December sidewalks. So I was leaving the house wearing a purple satin bathrobe and black cowboy boots. I remember lying in the back of the ambulance, watching a Christmas ornament above the rear double doors bounce as we drove to the hospital. I remember the doctors telling me I'd overdosed. I remember my husband telling me that our partying days were over, that we were going to get help and get sober, and we were going to do it right away. December 21st, 2010 is our 15th sobriety anniversary. It will also mark the point at which we have both been sober just as long as we drank. December 22nd will begin the time when I've been sober longer than I drank. It's an amazing thing. It might be the darkest day of the year, but it is the brightest day of the year in my heart. It's the day I celebrate life. It's a happy anniversary indeed. Thank you for letting me share this with you.